Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about the Real Clear Politics polling average in the state of Georgia, which now has Kamala Harris ahead in the state, above Donald Trump by a very narrow margin of 0.1%. Now this comes as a big surprise to me, at least. Donald Trump has been performing fairly well in polling in the Sunbelt states, and especially it's surprising coming from Real Clear Politics. I mean, this is a pretty obviously Republican leaning, right leaning organization. For example, when Marquette University, you might remember a few weeks ago, they released a poll shortly after Kamala Harris became the presumptive Democratic nominee. They released a poll that showed Kamala Harris ahead by 8% on Trump nationwide. Now Marquette is an A+ rated pollster. They are the best of the best, and Real Clear Politics did not include that poll in their average of nationwide polls, of course, because they wanted to favor Donald Trump. So to see, coming from Real Clear Politics, coming from RCP, it is very surprising to see Harris ahead in the state of Georgia. I didn't say this before, but for the first time ever, Kamala Harris has never led in this average of polls in Georgia. In Georgia, this is her first time leading in the RCP average. But when there are more and more polls that show Kamala Harris ahead, you end up you can't deny the fact that she is ahead when you have enough of these polls. Now again, as you can see, this is the first time ever. When the race started, not when the race started, but this is polls from March. You can just see how much weaker of a candidate Kamala Harris was then. Trump was ahead by 6.5%. Then Joe Biden withdrew. I mean, before Biden withdrew, she was still down by 4. I don't know why I said by 9 in the hypothetical polling. But after she became a candidate, got a little closer, 4.5%. And then you can see she skyrocketed. It was a very close race for quite a while. Trump was ahead by 0.7, 1% or less. And then, just today, Harris is ahead by 0.1. Very surprising this time. Harris has seen like slight setbacks across the battleground states. Nothing too significant. I don't think it's changed the candidate that's leading in the average in any of these states. So that being said, it is shocking to see Harris now suddenly taking the lead in Georgia. And this is a bigger picture, not just Georgia, but to these other Sunbelt battleground states, because I really have been saying for quite a while, considering Kamala Harris, the type of candidate she is, the historic candidate she is, being, an African American woman, the first African American woman, or, Asian American woman, to be a major party nominee for president. I really do think that Kamala Harris could do, exceptionally well, better than pollsters and pundits are expecting across the Sunbelt states. Polling has her. We can look at the averages here, right here actually. You can see, for example, she's down in Nevada, and etc. We'll get to the others, but she's looking. I'll say this: she's looking much better in the Rust Belt in terms of polling. But I really could see a scenario where she shocks people and does really well, exceeds polling expectations in the Sun Belt, and doesn't do that well in the Rust Belt. Maybe Donald Trump overperforms the polls by a point here and 2 points there. I really could see that scenario. That is possible. We're going to get to it in a second. But before we do that, Georgia, if Georgia is going blue, then by a point or so, then that probably means North Carolina. They're looking just about even in terms of candidates' chances in the state. So I would say that it's possible that Georgia goes blue, then North Carolina does as well. And then you're already at 258 electoral votes. So this this could be a winning strategy, because if you've got Georgia and North Carolina, you add Arizona, you just need one more, and Nevada is more likely to go blue than Arizona anyway. So if you win the 4 battleground Sunbelt states, Joe Biden won 3 of the 4 in 2020, then you don't even need a single Rust Belt state. You're already at 275. But what's good for Kamala Harris is that she is the heavy favorite in the state of Michigan. I think that she has about an 85% chance of winning the state of Michigan if I had to place a bet on it. So that means, if that was just an example to show how powerful the Sun Belt is, but You don't even need the entire Sun Belt. Even if you get Michigan and then you're taking Georgia, you're taking North Carolina, then or you don't even need North Carolina, right? That could go to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump can have Wisconsin and Pennsylvania with just Michigan, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. Harris is over 270, or even you could take North Carolina, or you could trade it off with Nevada and Arizona. Give those to Trump, and you're still over 270. You're at 273. That's just with Michigan, North Carolina, and Georgia. So these Sunbelt states, these are good amount of electoral votes. 16 electoral votes here, 16 there, North Carolina. And then you've got a combined 17 with Nevada and Arizona. So the Sunbelt region is extremely critical, especially if North Carolina does become competitive, because, whatever, I won't go into it that much. But, as I was saying, we'll get to the favorability in a second, but as I was saying, the polling looks much better. I shouldn't say much better. Looks better overall for Kamala Harris in the Rust Belt region, the Blue Wall region, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, better than it does in Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. Let's just take a look. In Arizona, she's down in the 538. This is an unbiased polling aggregate. She's down just very narrow, but still, she's down by 0.4. You've got the state of Georgia. In Georgia, she's ahead by 0.2. Still extremely narrow, especially compared to the other Rust Belt states. But that's important. Being ahead in Georgia, that's huge. And then you've got North Carolina, where she is down by 0.7, not looking good in North Carolina. But you also have the state of Nevada. Nevada, we can see right here, she is ahead by 0.4. So she's ahead. We'll just put it on the map here. She's ahead in, and we'll do margins. She's ahead in Nevada. What was the margin there? By 0.4, extremely narrow. She's ahead in Georgia by 0.2, and then Trump is ahead by 0.4 in Arizona, and he's ahead by 0.4 in North Carolina. It's absolutely insane. Just to throw this in here, it's absolutely insane, by the way, that 4 of these states are below a 1% margin. I mean, these are razor-thin 50-50 states. This election will just be insane. We know that for a fact. But let's just look at the Rust Belt states now to show that comparison. In Michigan, she's ahead by 1.9. 1.9 is, pretty healthy margin relative to the other Sunbelt battleground states. You've got Pennsylvania as well. Pennsylvania, Harris is still ahead in, but by much less than before. She was once ahead by 2.1. Today it is 0.7, very narrow win there. And then you've got Wisconsin. That's a good-looking state. She's ahead by 2.8. So look, she's leading in all 3 of the Blue Wall states. She's leading in 3 out of 3, when she's only leading in 2 out of 4 in the Sunbelt states. Her margins, she has, when it comes to the margins, she's leading by lean margins in 2 of the 3, winning the last one by tilt. The 2 that she is winning in the Sunbelt are both tilt margins. So, unarguably, the Rust Belt is looking much better for her in terms of polling than is the Sun Belt. However, as I was saying, I think that it is very much a possibility that the exact opposite happens. That overall, when you combine the percentage vote totals in the Sun Belt states, in the 4 battleground Sun Belt states, and you do the same thing in the 3 Rust Belt states, I could see a possibility where she does do better in the Sun Belt. And I know that does seem crazy to hear, because that was not the case, not even a remote possibility 10 years ago, or even 6 years ago, or 8 years ago. That's better, since there was actually an election 8 years ago. And that is because polls are not always accurate, and we have to look at the case when a candidate is overestimated or underestimated. I keep pulling this fact back up. We have set in stone numbers. We have actual numbers. These are not polls, but these are actual numbers from the Secretaries of State offices. That shows the increase in voter registration from about this time period. This was from July in 2024. That compared to the same time period in 2020. Young women up 84%, but more importantly, when it comes to the Sun Belt, Black Americans Voter registration is up 86% compared to 2020. Black women up almost 100%, almost doubling. Young Latinas up 150%. Young black women up an astonishing, can't believe this, still can't believe this, up an astonishing 176%. That's almost triple that it was in 2020. Now, first time voters are notoriously underpolled. That means that pollsters fail to capture these types of voters in polling because they don't have their information yet, right? They're not these vote every election cycle types of voters, and they really do turn out in high numbers because if you're registering to vote at a time right before an election, then it's probably to vote in the election. So pollsters do capture that the rate of how much they vote, but I think that they are failing to capture just how many of these new voters there will be, if that makes sense, rather than the rate, but just the raw number, how many of these new voters there will be, again, if that does make sense. And what do you notice about these demographics? Young black women, young Latinas, black women, black Americans, these are racial demographics. The Sun Belt is, of course, so much more racially diverse than is the Rust Belt. So if you have these massive demographics of voter blocks that are, you know, tenfold more prominent in the Sun Belt region than they are in the Rust Belt, who are being severely underpolled, then I believe that there is a situation where Harris is in a major way very underpolled in the Sunbelt region. You've got, Nevada, that could be a lean margin. Arizona could be a tilt margin. Georgia could be a lean margin. North Carolina could be a tilt margin. A slight shift in Kamala Harris's direction, but it makes a big difference. She picks up 2 more states, and, we could even see Pennsylvania then go to Donald Trump. Wisconsin, go to Donald Trump. Michigan, her margin reduced to a tilt margin, but she still wins the election with 290 electoral votes. So, the big picture is to see Harris even leading rather than being behind. It's one thing if she's behind in Georgia by a very narrow margin, and it's like, yeah, if she is underpolled, like I really am predicting that she is underpolled come election day, it's one thing to say Harris will win. But to see Harris actually leading in the state of Georgia in a pretty biased Republican organization, real clear politics, then yeah, I would definitely say that Harris is slightly favored to win the state of Georgia. So this is huge. It's not just Georgia. It spells out how these other Sunbelt states might vote as well. So thank you all for watching this video. And this is not a prediction, don't screenshot this. That would be a stupid prediction. But again, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So if you could help me out with that, that would be great. Again, thank you very much for watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Or I might have said that already. Let me hear your thoughts on how this race is going. I'm very interested to hear. Share the video if you have another person who might enjoy this type of content. And yeah, again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.